And we are live.
It's the general thing now. It's like, and we're live. Like,
We have
yes,
to
we're
say it
live.
now.
We do.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Black Prose Club, where Black lives, Black books, and Black writers have always mattered. Tonight, we are not necessarily talking about anything book related, but we have a very interesting topic for tonight. Before we get started, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself as one of your hosts this evening. My name is Oshale of Oshi Reads.
My name is Brittany from Melon and Eclectic. Novelist. It's so nice to see you. I just need to shout out Novelist for a second.
Shout out to Novelist. Shout out to Brooks of Brandy Shanae.
Welcome back. We missed you guys. Hi, Leanne.
Yes. Hey. We're just going to wait while y'all come in. We're going to do a little chit chat and some announcements. The very first announcement is we will be announcing Naked as of, what is today, the 25th? So as of the 29th, we will go ahead and announce Naked, and we'll let you know what our prompts are going to be. I think y'all wanted to do it for 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll announce the prompts and the group book for Naked on the 29th, which will be on, that's a Thursday.
Yep. Oh, yeah. This is the last week of July.
This is the last week. It seems like July flew by. That hair is hitting, Brittany.
Thank you. It's a wig I just got out the bag.
It's so good.
I need to cut it and shape it and everything, but out the bag right now it's doing okay.
Hi, Leanne. Hi, Miss WOC Reader.
How are you guys doing today? What have you guys been up to? Is anybody watching the Olympics? That's a real question.
I feel like I watched the Olympics more when I was younger.
I mean,
and I cared about it a lot more when I was younger.
As I got older, I realized that I only cared about certain events. And obviously now I care about gymnastics for 2 reasons, swimming for 1 reason, and then track and field has been Jamaica versus USA for a hot little minute. So I heard the men's basketball team lost in their first match to France. Ooh. So I think that's like a good that's a good place. Like I literally I've only ever watched like gymnastics, and then like Winter Olympics I only watch ice skating.
Yeah, I was about to say figure skating is probably my most favorite Olympic sport. Yep. So I'm not a big Olympics fan. So
also, if you guys see me looking down, I am editing photos for the planner, and my brain works better when I am editing and talking to people, because otherwise my brain will just go, but you should be editing. Like you should be editing. Because also on the 29th is my planner deadline. So that's fun.
A lot of things coming up.
Yeah.
So tonight's topic, we have a good amount of people in here, is going to be the business of degrading Black women. And this is something that we've wanted to talk about for a while. We've kind of sat back and kind of just watched everything that's been going on online, especially on YouTube, with the explosion of the popularity and mainstreamness of the red pill community, with people who kind of bridge the gap, like the Kevin Samuelses and a couple other podcast type shows where men kind of give their opinions on women and Black women specifically, and what we're doing and wrong, and why we're just so whatever, fill in the blank, and what we need to improve on, et cetera, et cetera. And it's kind of created this war online. I will say I do feel like it's more online than it is in real life. It's like a battle of the sexes. It's like Black women versus Black men. There's a lot of back and forth between the male communities online and the women, like more femininity movement communities, or like Black women first communities online. It's just been very interesting to sit back and just watch it all unfold. And then, of course, we always have this long-held lucrative practice of people profiting off of Black women's backs, profiting off of our pain, profiting off of, mocking us, whether it's comedians wearing a dress, putting on a wig, and pretending to be a Black woman in a comedic, overblown, stereotypical manner, or it's literal mainstream media profiting off of the pain of Black women. So we just wanted to talk about it tonight.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, actually, I do know where to start because this is the easiest place to start. So I'm going to pull off of what Miss WOC Reader said. Like, I've always like golden rule. Like, it's kind of like, well, it's always been a well-known thing for me. I don't know if that's for all Black people, but it's like, if I don't like something that you're doing, I'm not going to tell other people that I don't like what you're doing. Like, I might say it around my other Black people, but I'm not going to say it like to everyone. Like, nowadays, if we're not calling Black men the weakest link, then the Black men are calling us aggressive and giving us all these reasons why they'd rather not date us and why statistics proves that we're going to be alone, et cetera, et cetera. It's like very seldom do I get online and it's just a positive, uplifting moment for Black people. Or if it is, like, it's not something that has as many likes or has as many comments. And it's like this idea of, or actually, this is a good example. So one time I was in a car with some of my friends. All of them were men. And we were having a conversation about Mr. Samuels, who, I should preface this now, I'm not a fan of Kevin Samuels. I don't care if some of the stuff that he says is correct. I don't care if some of the stuff is right. I don't care. I'm not taking advice from somebody who gets off being completely rude and degrading to people who are asking for help. That will never be my thing. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care. With that being said, obviously, some men in the car listen to Kevin Samuels. So me being who I am, I have listened to Kevin Samuels so that I have a place to state why I don't like him. So we were having a conversation, and one of my guy friends, he asked me, he said, I'm
done. Not Aaron.
I'm sorry, that threw you right off.
Welcome, Aaron. Great comment.
Thanks, Aaron, for that. You came in swinging. But he asked me, he said, do you think you own Black men? And I was like, I don't own anybody. Like, slavery ended for a reason. Like, I don't own anyone. And he was like, see, like, that's an issue, because if you ask other races of women if they feel like they own their women, they'll say yes. And I was like, why do you feel like, why would anybody feel okay saying they own somebody? Like, am I thinking about this wrong? And he was like, there's a disconnect in the Black community where, like, we don't even care enough to own each other. And I was like, again, maybe it's the word own that you're using that in my brain, it's not translating to something positive, because in my head, I'm like, you don't own me neither. Whereas he's like, he was like, there's been this like talk amongst our own community about sticking together, about actually being a community. And I was like, again, I think the word own that you were using is just not the word you're looking for, because I don't own anyone. Will I stand up for Black men? Absolutely. Same way I'll stand up for Black women and anyone else. But I said, you know who I feel the most betrayed by? And I was like, I feel the most betrayed by Black men who always seem to center Black women as being the problem of society. Because everybody seems to deem us as the problem of society. And it was like the only man that got it was Malcolm X. And we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, it's interesting, that whole ownership debate, because I feel like the underlying subtext of that is other men of other races have managed to build some sort of community for their women and children. And there is a breakdown of that in the Black community, and not necessarily in the entire diaspora, and certainly in certain pockets, especially in the West. So there's like a breakdown of this communal feeling, or maybe there is a communal feeling, but there's a breakdown of an actual physical community that's able to support and uplift and build and come together, you know, whether you talk about monetarily, financially, whether you talk about just general socioeconomic status, upward mobility. There's so many things, and there's so many other factors that go into it, because then we will start talking about the after effects of Jim Crow and the after effects of certain laws that were made to keep Black communities impoverished and to stop them from advancing, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very nuanced topic, but there is this, like, to me, there's this underlying kind of subtext of, well, men of other races have managed to somewhat build a workable community that protects and safeguards their women and children. And other men of other communities also do not, like, they don't speak badly about their women. They don't degrade their women publicly. They protect them as best as they can. You know, they don't just, you know, slander them in the media. They don't say things about them being undateable or whatever the case may be. There's a level of protection there. There's a level of some type of code there where they don't necessarily they don't kind of put their women out there to be just savage. So there's a lot of subtext to this, and a lot of nuance. The own word it does turn me off. It's not, I don't like it, but I feel like underneath that, there's so much more going on. But I don't know, it's weird too, because this vitriol and anger and all this stuff is so concentrated online. And then when I move around in my daily life, I don't see it. And I don't know if it's like, I'm not surrounded by these type of people. Like, and just like you, Brittany, like I listen to a lot of Kevin Samuels' content as well, because I was trying to make up my mind for myself. And I even listened to some other red pillars, or Kevin Samuels doesn't consider himself a part of the red pill community. For those
also, what is that community? What is that?
I was about to explain it. So the red pill community essentially are these men online that an offshoot of that is the men go their own way community, which is like men who've decided to have nothing to do with women anymore, and they're just for themselves, and they feel like the women of today are awful and don't make good partners, et cetera, et cetera. So the red pill community essentially is a community of men online who, from what I have found, there is a variety. So the extreme side of the community are men who, quote unquote, hate women. They don't really have anything positive to say about women. They're trying to put other men up on game, trying to open their eyes to how, like, quote unquote, toxic women are and all this other stuff. So that's like the extreme. Then you have like the middle of the road, which was where I would say Kevin Samuels is. And then you have the more lighter, where they still want to have interactions with women, but it's like men teaching men how to be men and how to get women and how to succeed in relationships and how to be masculine and how to be this. So it's a spectrum. It's weird to me though, because I feel like I said, I watched a lot of his content because I was trying to kind of figure out what exactly was going on, especially after that viral video. And I just found that, in my opinion, the things that the men were saying in the comments, the things that they were complaining about, you know, they were saying, oh, you know, Black women are so mean to me. They never smile at me. There was that whole viral video about Black women not smiling.
Which is,
they don't smile. They don't say hello. Well, white women always smile at me on the street and say hello. Asian women always smile, you know, Hispanic women, but Black women always have this look on their face that looks so mean. They never smile. They never do this. They never do that. Oh, they're just so disagreeable. They're this, they're that.
You know who else also says that?
Who?
White supremacy also says that.
It was just weird to me because in my everyday life, I just don't see this.
I've never encountered that in real life.
I don't know if it's where I live or like, I just don't.
I live in a major city and I've never had that issue. Like, obviously now I don't have to worry about being told to smile or not because I have a mask on, thank God. But even when I wasn't wearing a mask, I know I wasn't scowling. I don't feel like I need to smile at every guy who passes me by because there's higher chances of him being a creeper than anything else. So it's like the complaints that were being brought up were like the same complaints of the things that my boss writes on my evaluations about how I should smile more and I should speak more to my coworkers or I should look more approachable. Like those are the same things that I'm dealing with on the white supremacy side. So I'm like, when did this translate into our community?
It's just so bizarre because when we think about the history of the treatment of Black women in this country, like, why the heck should we be walking around smiling like idiotically anyway? Like, why should we be so damn approachable? Like, there's just so much that goes into it that it just threw me off, that whole conversation. And the conversation about there was another conversation. Oh, the complete demonization of single mothers.
Oh my gosh. When did that? I was shook. I was like, y'all do know, in order for them to be single mothers, y'all dusties left them, right? Like, y'all know they weren't out here just like, we're not asexual beings. We can't make babies on our own. Like,
that
it's been
was
a shock to see.
All
especially of a sudden, they're like less than they're less than human because they're single mothers.
Especially because I know that a lot of men come from single mother households. It was very jarring to see because, again, I don't see that in everyday. Like in everyday life, I see single mothers who are in relationships and who are, they are getting married again and everything's fine. And it's not like Kevin Samuels and his ilk made it sound like if you're a single mother, your life is over. You're never going to find love. You might as well just hang it up. And, obviously there's a range in the whole single mother spectrum. It's a more nuanced conversation for sure. And it has a lot to do with access to, access to healthcare, access to information, young girls who are becoming single mothers who have no education, who have no chance of, doing more with their lives. You have that, which is like the stereotype. So it's like a big range of like the whole single mother story. But overall, it was just very strange that there was no accountability on the men whatsoever for making single mother. Like, you made this woman a single mother. Like, you didn't marry her. You didn't stay with your family.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no accountability for you.
Right. I mean, this comment right here, y'all remember how Bill Cosby used to blame single mothers for the downfall of the Black community? Yeah. Another thing, like, I've also been seeing this a lot on TikTok and stuff where like it'll be like, oh, Black women act like they don't need men. They act like they're too independent for men. And it's just like, as a woman who is successful in her own right, the only reason that I'm not married is because there has not been a man that is marriage material. But if I say that, they will attack me and say that the reason that I'm not married is because I'm overweight. It's because I'm a catered man. Meanwhile, old dude doesn't even have control of his own emotions.
Right.
Probably needs therapy, isn't taking care of himself, probably only remembers to wash behind his ears twice a week. But like, I'm the problem. It's just like between being blamed for single mothers happened because Black women became too independent. Black women wanted to get jobs instead of being at home and taking care of the Black family. I was like, who's bad? All of y'all were raised, like there's a lot of y'all that were raised by single mothers.
So many.
And y'all are with the very same breath demonizing women who have stepped up to take care of the children that y'all helped make and disappeared.
Yeah. That was the weird part, is like there was no accountability for the men. It all seemed to be put on the women, which I found to be very distasteful. I was going to say something, but I lost my train of thought, and I'm going to try to see if I can get it back. I was just so like tuned into what you were saying that I completely lost my train.
I can go on this topic forever because it is one of the most aggravating things I've ever seen. And I think the most infuriating part is that social media plays heavily into our mental space, whether we like to admit it or not. So if all you're seeing on social media, you have to remember that like people out here living real normal lives and not ever having to encounter these men who need therapy. That is what I'm going to start calling them, because I want to call them other names, but that's not helping the situation either. So I'm just going to say these men who probably need therapy play a role in my mind and like how I think, and it produces negative thoughts about myself for things I didn't even do. And I'm just like, ugh.
And the thing is, I found my train of thought again. Okay. My train of thought, and we will get to that comment in a second. My train of thought is, I found it. You talking about, oh, you know, saying Black women are not getting married because they're overweight or they're too independent or they're this and they're that. But what is not the elephant in the room is women of our generation are not getting married, period. Like the marriage rates are down. Like people are not getting married like they were before, because there are other options available to people now. Like you can live with your partner and not necessarily get the government involved or get married. Or you have people who don't want to get married.
We also don't have to rely on men anymore like that. And yes, that's a factor that really hurts with their feelings.
There's a huge factor in women in the workforce, women owning businesses, women owning their own homes, able to be independent and provide for themselves. And so maybe the reason that you would have gotten married 40, 50, 60 years ago no longer exists. And so therefore, you're going to wait to find the right partner that's the most compatible with you. Whether you have to wait into your 30s or 40s, you're willing to wait it out to find a compatible partner, as opposed to just getting married to whoever, you know, is there and wants you at the time, because you need security and you need this and you need that. So these are factors that are not being discussed. That is kind of annoying to me, because he's like, oh, Black women are not getting married and da-da-da. I'm like, no one is really getting married.
Like also, that. And this is one of the arguments they love to talk about how like, oh, when like these women aren't like the women back in the day. I was like, honey, the women back in the day had to deal with their husbands having whole second families and having to suck it up because they did not have the ability to take care of themselves if they left.
They can even open a bank account.
Right. If that's the kind of woman that you're looking for, one that you can completely disrespect, I'm okay not being her. Because if that's the example y'all want to bring in without bringing their whole example in, it's like, stop it. Also, this is my favorite part. The hypocrisy of this particular argument is staggering. Like, staggering. Which brings us to this one. Why is it that we are bashed for being single mothers, but they are not? How are they? Like, it'll be non-Black women with mixed babies because, you know, they're doing the same thing to them that they were doing to us. And I don't see the vitriol to
it
them,
doesn't exist to them
the
at all.
way that it comes to us. It's like, but you...
I think something staggering, like 80 or maybe 90 now % of mixed children are born out of wedlock.
Yes.
To Black fathers and white mothers specifically.
Which is a whole other conversation that we do not have time to touch into today.
I was like, wait, what?
Also, like, I meant to look up more statistics, that word and we don't get along. But yeah, I forgot to post those numbers. That was a great argument, but you know, I'm gonna just move on. It says, I'm usually on the same page, but there are Black men who are going overboard even when they're not anonymous weirdos. The rich, oh snap. The rich NBA dudes who protected the white girl, for instance.
I mean,
they're not hurting for money. That was an easy alley-oop, and they walked away from the coddle of white women over a Black woman. Why be rich if that's what you're waiting to do? The economic status of Black men. Oh, how do I say that without?
The level of coonery that exists in the upper echelon is out of control. Like, it's disappointing. And that's why we don't need to make NBA players the voice of the Black community. That's why we don't need to make rappers the voice of the Black community. That's why we don't need to make influencers and YouTubers and models and whatever else, film directors who, you know, want to preach Black love but have white wives, which do you, but please don't be saying that you're pro-Black this and pro-Black that when you don't even have a Black family. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. That is why it doesn't compute, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense when you say you're an advocate for the community, you want to build the community, you love the community, but you're not willing to like actually produce more people to be a part of the community. There's a disconnect. I just want that disconnect to be acknowledged. That's all. I just want that disconnect.
It's a couple disconnects in this conversation that I've always just been genuinely confused about, because again, like I said, it's as if, and then I'm gonna say this in a way, like, Black women have also had a we've also contributed to this problem, because one, there is a category of us that are very pick me and will co-sign the negative stereotypes that have been plaguing Black women for forever. The moment we were able to speak, we have been deemed aggressive, mean, non-nurturing. Granted, we were mammies. It's just these constant stereotypes that have been just bought over to us. And then there are the other people that hide behind religion to justify their pick-me status. Ooh. And then there are the other groups of women that don't feel like they need to speak up because they were chosen by their husbands already. So, you know, they have all that. So it's like, we played a part in this. Well, some of us played a part in this, because I'm not one of them. Oh my gosh. I'm waiting for the chat to catch up to our conversation so I can talk about what's being said, because that is a whole thing. Here's another comment. Also, when Black men in the media do stand with Black female peers, those teams get broken up. Jamil and Michael. Oh my gosh, that is so true. Jalen Rose and Maria Taylor. You're so right, though. You're so right. It's like, think about it. Anytime you see a Black man unapologetically stand up for a Black woman, like when old girl on ESPN basically said that chick got her job because she's Black. Who was the first people to speak out and say that she's not racist?
Black men.
Mm-hmm. But where were they? Where was her protection? Because they didn't fire her. The only thing they did was they took her off the event.
Yeah, that particular segment.
ESPN, because they vouched for her. She didn't mean it like that. Like, it's just like, listen.
There's a level of, like, you know, giving the person the benefit of the doubt that is often not extended to Black women. Yes.
We're like forced. We have to be A1, top notch, 100%, zero mistakes seen. We must be flawless by their definition. The slightest slip up, or God forbid we say an opinion that they do not agree with, and they have to decide between standing up for us or giving in to the bully like Jamil, they'll be gone.
Speaking up about, or expanding upon you talking about being flawless, another thing I wanted to touch on in regards to the monetization of degrading Black women is something else that kind of went viral, was this whole ranking system.
Ranking system?
Which I've never seen a white man go viral for ranking white women, but I find it interesting that a Black man went viral for ranking Black women.
Wait, who did this?
Well, you know, the whole like, oh, you're average at best.
The high value crap.
You're average at best because you're a 6 or you're a 5 or you're a 4, or calling, how do you say her name right? Sweetie? Calling Sweetie a 6. Having women call in and tell them, oh, oh, I would call you a 5, or you're a 6, or you're a 4, or you're
The
an
part
8.
that really kills me is that there were women calling in. Like, I get it. You want to argue, you want to defend, but why are you arguing against these kind of people who never had your best interest at heart in the first place? Why are you giving in? Why are you calling them and giving them the content that they need for their twisted viewership? Why are you calling? Because I'm not calling somebody who been divorced 3 times and hasn't really found the faults in why he's been divorced 3 times for him to tell me when he doesn't even know me that I'm a 4. And also, who created this system?
I was about to say, what I found interesting is once that whole clip went viral and they started talking about the rating system, it then kind of made more men comfortable to come forward and say, yes, we do have like a ranking system. And it kind of took me back to high school of when you would walk down the hallway and there would always be a group of dudes like posted up, and they would be like, oh, she's a 10. Oh, she's an 8. Like, this was a real thing in my high school. Like, there would be a bunch of dudes posted up and a girl would walk by and they would literally be like, oh, yeah, she's an 8. Yeah, she's a 10. Yeah, I would hit that. Or like, ooh, she's a 2, bro. Like, it was a real thing. And so I just thought it was very interesting. It was like a full circle moment for me. Like, that clip going viral and then not making men in that community feel comfortable enough to step forward and like kind of co-sign it and be like, oh yeah, we do this. We just don't tell y'all that we do this. We don't admit that we do this. And
so, wait, this is new for me because obviously I went to way too many high schools to have any normal sense of anything. So like when you said they rated you, like, did y'all know about these rankings? Like, was it on paper?
Talking out loud as you were walking by, you couldn't help but hear it with all of their friends.
Oh my gosh.
And this comment from Aaron is spot on. The black men especially were very color struck because the lighter skinned girls, even though they were more average, quote unquote, in the face, would always get a higher ranking than a darker skinned girl who maybe had a more prettier, quote unquote, face. And it was just interesting. It was or they would be like, oh, her hair is long. Like she got that good hair. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, 9.
Oh, no, not that good hair.
Yes. So it was a little triggering for me because it just took me back because I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this happening in high school. I didn't know that men were still doing this as adults.
So I would like to ask everybody in the audience, please let me know, do you have a ranking system like this? Or if you don't have a ranking system, what do you look for in the qualities of your mate? I just want to see something here because that will put something into perspective. I looked up this high value definition thing, right?
Yes. It seems to be solely based on finances.
It's solely it's a very superficial standing. Because it's also like the way your body looks and stuff. So it's literally like, are you rich? Are you fit? Yes. It's like, but what about if you're like emotionally unstable?
What if you're
like you have a terrible credit score? Or I don't know, you are monogamously cheating. That's relationship level, monogamously cheating. Like where are the it's the fact that there are people out here, like this is as bad as the men that put I'm an alpha male in their dating profile. High value man, alpha man, all of these are all problematic to me because they center around this idea that everything has to be a physical transaction. Yes. And then like they'll always be quick to say like, oh, we as men were meant to be protectors. It's like, well, what about protecting my mind? Because if I marry you as a high value man and you do nothing but cause me emotional distress because you have not figured out how to only be with me, how is that protecting? Yes. Why is protection only physical? Because I have Samson and Delilah, and I would love for you to add your gun collection to mine. And we can protect. You could also be the one to get out of bed to go handle that. But if you're in my bed, like you also, I just don't understand. Like I looked it up and I was like, so we've spent like this generation has been the generation that has really started talking about mental health in the Black community. this is also the very same generation that has made High Value Man. And I'm like, where is the emotional intelligence? Where is you getting rid of the trauma that you've experienced as a child so it does not manifest into your relationships?
Yes.
Where is this thing where you're taught about being able to be a mate to another person and having a partner? And also, I have never seen so many people misuse the definition of submissive who also claim to not be Christians in my life.
The whole high value man definition is very interesting because it kind of, by default, paints the picture of women being very materialistic, money hungry, and dare I say gold diggerish.
Yes.
And it just doesn't sit well with me. And it doesn't help that all these women calling into Kevin Samuels' show specifically, or people who are co-signing this rhetoric, are like, oh yeah, I want a high value man. I want a man who makes 6 figures or more. Would you date a man making less than 6 figures? No. You know, like, why not? Are you making 6 figures? No. You know, it's like, it's a very weird niche type of definition that attracts a very specific type of woman, that the conversation is just it's not broad enough to encompass like the reality of what women are actually looking for. It's a very narrow pool of a specific type of woman that is looking for that specific type of high value man. And it's weird to me because, again, in my normal everyday life, I don't really know women like this. Maybe I've known 1 or 2 here and there in just the passing of living life and interacting with people. But the majority of women that I know absolutely value fidelity. They value a man who's going to treat them well. They value a man who's going to work hard no matter how much he makes. They value a man that's going to take care of his family. So the whole high value, like 6 figures or more, has a, you know, special social network of other rich men, you know, is wearing these like expensive suits and doing this and doing that, is a very niche, specific, narrow definition that to me only will attract a certain type of woman. It's not broad, it's not encompassing enough. And then depending on who you talk to, the whole definition of high value means something more. You know, if you talk to someone who's especially religious, high value to them is a man who serves God and is honorable and does this and this and this. If you talk to somebody who's maybe like a minimalist or, you know, vegan, then a high value man is somebody who, you know, respects the earth and animals and doesn't like to collect a lot of material things. So again, this definition is very narrow. And depending on who you speak to and what their value system is, that whole high value definition is going to change.
Yeah, and in the comments right now, there are different definitions of high value. Like the definition of high value that I personally is vastly different from what's said online. This is another good point. That makes sense that it would be individualized. We're not all in the same place with the same needs and partners. This is also very true. My dad is high value. He loves his family, came home every night and made my mom laugh. See how like those 3 are 3 different type things. Also, I love that you immediately shouted out your daddy, because shout out to dads.
Yeah.
I'm trying my hardest to have this conversation without bringing up other races of women. And my reason for that is other races of women are used as an excuse on both sides of the argument.
Yes.
And it takes away the accountability that we need to have for ourselves in our community. Yes, they do play a factor. They do. But we got to stop bringing them into our conversations, because this conversation is ours, and like they can listen, but to be in the forefront, I try really hard not to even talk about how other races of women are treated based on us, because we already know that. We already know that they're treated better. We already know that doing the bare minimum or being carbon copies of us is what gets it. Hold on. Comments are coming in fast. I did have to explain to another Black woman why Black men asking for Black boy rep in books is not the slight against Black girls she thought it was. Huh? Okay, wait.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's not though, because the same way that we like having Black girl magic in our books is the same way they deserve to have that Black boy joy.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know why anybody would get offended when somebody's asking for representation in books. It's like, we fight for representation all the time. Why do they not deserve to have the same representation? Yeah. I think it's important because Black men try to use their access to other races of women allegedly against Black women. That context is relevant. That is true.
That is true.
I saw, what was I watching? Sometimes I go down TikTok holes and I don't know what my For You page be doing. Cause sometimes it'd be like regular, like I'm watching a random chick sing while she's in cosplay. I'm watching a dog dance with music playing, and then all of a sudden it'll be like this weird Hotep wannabe dude.
What?
About how Black women don't understand that their time is up. Black men are the most desirable men in the world. Everybody wants us. And it's just like, there's a difference between fetishization and actual admiration. And I think you really need to understand the difference between the two. But Salter is correct. Like, I have genuinely seen that argument, and they say it like it's a badge of pride. Like, they do. Oh, well, insert any other race, especially the exotic one, wants me. I don't need you hoes anymore. And it's just like, bruh.
It's also just not factual. Like, most women of other races would prefer to be a man of their own race. That's like a known statistics. Like, that's a known stat. So it's weird to me when they say that, because I'm just like, no.
Or it'll be like, oh, when I was in high school, this one Black girl rejected me, so now I don't date Black girls. And it's like there's a huge thing online right now about nerd dudes claiming that Black chicks, it's hard to find a Black chick that's a nerd. Because when he was younger, like, they weren't even checking for him, and like it's other Black men checking him. Like one dude was like, she did not reject you because you were a nerd. She rejected you because you smelled like funk and Axe. You made anime your personality type rather than an interest. Like, wow. It was interesting to watch, because it was like, okay, handle your friend.
Yes.
Because they love using that as an excuse, like Daniel Glover when he was like, I don't really, Black girls were really checking for me. Bro, just because you went for the popular girl in school, when you yourself were not well kept together, don't be mad that one girl rejected you means that all of a sudden everybody should be canceled. If that's the lifestyle that you're living, just say that.
Also, Daniel Glover has other issues. He literally went on a late night talk show and talked about how he said one of the best sexual experiences he ever had was with a non-Black woman. I want to say she was white, and it's like she called him the N-word, and it made him like orgasm harder than he ever has. So he has bigger issues.
I try not to kink shame. I try not to kink shame. I'm gonna just let me just read a comment, because I'm not commenting on that. What? Okay, that spousal support hits different when your ex-wife is white and you're a Black man, though. Never happened to me, but I'm not built to experience that. Okay, so I have a perfect example of this. Obviously, I don't have to give names. So I dated this one guy a while back. I think it was like freshman or sophomore year of college. I don't remember. But he broke up with me. And when he broke up with me, he said, and I quote, I get more attention from white girls. They know how to treat me better. Mind you, at this time, I was trying to get into the engineering school, and I was also working 2 jobs. So anytime I found for him, he would have been grateful, but he wasn't. And so he gets with a white girl. They live this wonderful, happy life, he thinks, until they have a baby. And then all of a sudden he learns that she's super racist. Super racist. Whole family super racist. They're so happy that the daughter came out white passing and everything. Like, it is a whole thing. Like, they wanted to raise her white. When he stepped in, then all of a sudden he became an abuser. Custody of his daughter got taken away. He's still fighting them to this day, 7 years later.
Oh.
And he hit me up once and okay, so I'm gonna be honest. So the petty in me was bubbling over in giggles because it was like, remember in college where you took the time to specifically tell me how trash I was compared to white women? Remember that? And then obviously the other side of me is sad because there is a young child in this situation that is being raised by racist people. But yeah, that's a perfect example of where I'd be like, we don't have, if you choose to date somebody, whoever you choose to date, if you feel like you have to justify why you're dating or why you're married to them by taking down another group of people, then that's a guilt that you need to take up with your therapist, and you need to stop. You need to stop because there's no reason for that. It's just like, I
don't even know what to say.
Miss WOC reader, I'm going to be sending you a message when we're done with this chat. Let's see. My cousin talks like that. He likes black girls. He's like, black girls didn't like me in high school, so I only date white girls. Aaron, I don't know why any of your family members would think this come at you sideways like that. And yes, Miss Awesome Saucy, he did message me when he saw me online. Yeah, they always come back to you when you no longer want them.
They always come back. It's like a boomerang.
Let's see. I prefer black men, but Latino and Middle Eastern men are the ones that be showering me with attention.
Okay.
Again, I love black men. I think they're beautiful. I believe that, through us, we created magic, and that's black men. But
I don't know.
I'm not dating right now, so I can't even state what preferences are. I tried, I failed, so I'm not dating right now, and I have no intentions of dating for a while.
I think when it comes to dating, all women should go where they're celebrated, not tolerated, and especially for black women, with the nuances and intricacies that come with us being out in the world, the perceptions that are put upon us, the way that our own men feel about us at times, the colorism, featureism, all the isms. Just go where you're celebrated. If you find an amazing black man that loves you for who you are, by all means. If you find an amazing non-black man that loves you for who you are, by all means. I think love is something that a lot of us are searching for. And if you're able to find it in whatever package it comes in, then that's the most important thing.
I think this applies also to everyone, not just black women and black men, but everyone.
Everyone. And
do not settle for crap.
Secretly, a racist or secretly harboring views that are morally against what you stand for. If you truly find somebody that truly loves you and goes hard for you, then that's all that matters. But I did want to kind of branch off into another part of this conversation. And I feel like I'm about to lose my train of thought again. What were you were talking about? You were talking about, oh no, I just lost it. I'm so sad.
Okay, well, think on it, because this is the question. Do you think it's mostly internalized self-hate that certain black men perpetuate on black women? Okay. So this is another, I have a group of friends here in Houston that I absolutely love. We will go from conversations about Universe 66 Superman to these type of conversations. And to be honest, I do think there's a bit of self-hate, because what on social media, not in real life, on social media, the main people that I see, or the main men that I see that are choosing to be derogatory towards black women are the really, really dark-skinned men who always have something extremely negative to say about dark-skinned women. The one, they go out of their way to specify how they don't want to be with us, how they only want to be with red bones, Lil Wayne.
Yep.
There's a group of them that, and I do believe, like I said, you think about the kind of stuff that we said to each other when we were younger, the colorism that we perpetuate as kids because it was stuff that we learned. Like those men were the targets of those comments, of those jokes, of those kind of things. So think about the kind of stuff that they internalized their whole lives. Because let's be real, as kids are dicks.
Yeah, kids are really.
We were dicks when we were younger. How often did we call somebody a name based on their skin color, or because their teeth weren't straight, or because their hair was short? Like, we did that as kids. And so without getting help, without acknowledging or learning how to love yourself in a healthy manner, it translates into negative things when you get older. And I do think there is a lot of internalized self-hate that they are perpetuating out, because that is the type of stuff that they were getting thrown at them.
I was having this conversation with someone recently, like a couple of days ago, and I think that it's okay for you to have a preference, right? If you're like, oh, I prefer girls who are this, or who look like this, who look like that, I think that's perfectly fine. I think the problem comes when you can't explain why that is your preference. And the problem comes when it's not actually a preference, because anything else other than that is distasteful to you. Because a preference is more like, oh, I prefer this to this. I still like this, but I like this one better, right? And, and I think I brought up an example when I was talking to someone this week. And I said, my example is, I'm always a sucker for men who are like really broad shoulders and have more of a square chin. But I know why. And it's because I was obsessed with Superman for a really long time when I was a kid. So I was able to decode that and be like, oh, I like when men have broader shoulders and like a more square jawline.
They look more superhero-esque.
Because they look more like a hero. And I was obsessed with heroes at one point. And it's like, okay, I connect the dots. Now, as a Black man, if you're like, oh, I only like red bones, or I only like, racially ambiguous, I only like Latinas, and you're not able to dissect and figure out, is that colorism? Is that internalized self-hatred? Like, what is it? Or is it just, for whatever reason, that's just what you like? It doesn't mean that you won't date someone who isn't that, but you just gravitate towards this, right? If you're not able to like dissect that, and you're not able to fully unpack that and accept it. And I think that Black men in particular, and colorist Black men in particular, use that preference line as a scapegoat, as an excuse, because if they were actually to sit down and unpack what their preferences actually mean, then they would have to accept the fact that they have all this internalized self-hatred, all this internalized trauma from white supremacy, trauma from when they were kids, and they were being picked on for their skin tone, and they were being put down, and maybe even people in their families were like, don't stay out in the sun, calling them darky, calling them this, like, why are you so Black? I thought you were gonna be light skinned like your brother. I thought you were gonna get the good hair like your daddy. So it's like, if they're not able to truly unpack all of this, because if they were to, they would have to confront all this stuff that they actually need to go to therapy for. So instead of confronting all this, they just slap on a preference label on it and move on, because they don't even want to touch it. That's my
It's one of those Black community things that we don't want to talk about fully. It's like this newfound hatred or this newfound degradation thing that spews from years of other things and a lack of mental maturity to understand it, because there is still a stigma behind therapy, especially for men, especially Black men. Because even to this day, if somebody tells their parents, I'm going to therapy, they go, what's wrong with you? And it's like, a lot of times in our society, we perpetuate this idea that in order to be masculine, you have to be like, this is the list of what it means to be masculine. You are not allowed to veer off of this list. You're also not allowed to be feminine in any kind of way. God forbid you want to actually take care of yourself. Like, there's so many things that this generation of men are unpacking. The same with us. We are also unpacking a lot. We are unpacking a lot in terms of identity, in terms of what it means to be ourselves, masculinity versus femininity, like gender fluidity. There's so many things that we are trying to translate in our generation. And like, I'm seeing it matriculate into some hatred that's manifesting from self-hate. And it's like, listen, like who you like, be who you be with. I will state this. I do side-eye people who specifically state that they do not like their own race. I have a thing about that. Like Black guys who are like, oh, I don't date Black women. Isn't your mama Black? Isn't your
sisters, your auntie,
your family
your
Black?
grandma? Like
there's a white guy that's on TikTok, and he had all these followers talking about how he loves Black women, how Black women are the truth, and da 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 da. And I was just like, I would run from a guy like him.
Me too.
That makes me uncomfortable. That sounds like a fetish.
Whoever you are, if you do not date your own race, there's just something off there. And it's just weird to me. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you're a white man that says you only date Black women and you don't date white women. That to me is questionable. Same for Black men, Asian, like whatever. It's weird. And there's something else going on there. And it's like a red flag. It's a huge red flag. So, but yeah, I never got my train of thought back, but I did want to say that there is an understanding that this isn't all Black men, obviously.
They say it's not Black women.
Correct. But I think the problem I have is like the Black men who see their fellow Black men doing this and they don't check them. They just kind of stay quiet. But if a Black woman were to do something they deemed off code, then they're going to be just so loud about it. They're going to be dragging her. But if Black men are saying
Serena Williams and her husband, after she had been with all of these beautiful men who did nothing but mistreat her, she finally found a guy who treated her correctly. And it was, she turned to the dark side. Oh, she's with the white man. Like, obviously this man completed her, because the same man is the one who stood on the sidelines with a Dare shirt when Maria Sharapova started playing. Ooh. So that, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, one, we've got to stop penalizing each other for who we love. And that's not just a statement about race. That is a statement about gender and everything else. We've got to stop penalizing each other for who we love. We've got to stop penalizing each other for being at different levels of life. We've got to start accepting each other for where we are and not where the media tells us that we should be. Because in the same realm of saying that we've come a long way where we really haven't, we've still got so much more to go. It's the same breath that's promoted this idea that only certain types of Black is acceptable.
Yes.
Where only certain types of Black people are deemed good for society. Like, right. In the same breath that they're claiming that we've progressed so far, they figured out ways to continue to do this to us. Mm-hmm. So it's like, on top of having to deal with sexism, colorism, classism, homophobia, transphobia, all the obias, all the icks, can't name them all. On top of that, we are now not only doing it from outside our race, we're doing it inside our race. Mm-hmm. And we're doing it so heavily that it's like a well-known, easy conversation for people who aren't even a part of the community to add their 2 cents.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl, if you don't shut up and listen, oh, well, my husband's Black and my kids are mixed. So I feel like I can say something. No, you can't. You are an ally. And if that bothered you, you're not an ally, because if your allyship is contingent on the way that we treat you, you are not an ally. Like I tell people all the time, let somebody like Serena's husband roll around on me. Because one thing I'm very certain of, as Ms. WLC Reader just said, he is her biggest fan. Mm-hmm. And I see nothing wrong with being in a relationship where you feel 100% supported.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you should want.
I'm about to say, and I thought that's what we were all searching for, but apparently we're looking for 6 figures, the body of Adonis.
6 packs. Lord.
I have never dated a guy with a 6-pack.
Really?
Never. I have never dated a guy who was in my tax bracket.
I mean, your tax bracket is quite high.
I know, but like, but even before I hit this tax bracket, when I was progressing up, they always made less money than me. But you know what I always had in common? They was always thick. I like my men thick. Ever since Bison from like Street Fighter, like I love men with thighs.
I feel like I think physicality is great, but I go more for like swag. Like you have to have a certain like confidence to you, like a certain like looks are all great and well, but like I don't know, there's got to be something to you, like an air to you, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, like a certain level of confidence is very attractive. No matter what your features are or how much you weigh or whatever the case may be. And a deep voice.
Ooh.
I am a sucker for a deep voice.
Not only a deep voice, but when he smiles, like his smile kind of creeps open.
Listen. Yes. Look.
Hallelujah. We praise you. Also, I just want to say this comment. It says, I've never seen a black man want a black woman more than Prince Harry or Robert De Niro. I cannot give you a celebrity example because I'm not in their life. But you know, there are two men in my life that the way that they treat their women, I just be like, and number one is my daddy. He grosses me out the way that he still creeps on my mom. Yep, I said the word creeps. Because they act like they're still dating to this day. And the way that my dad spoils my mom could literally say, I think I want something red. And my dad would go to the store and buy everything red and let her pick out what she wants. Like, same thing goes for my uncle. Like, I have seen healthy, stable black relationships. I don't know about the celebrity level because, you know, I don't be celebrities' lives like that. Like, if they choose to share it, that's on them. But I don't be trying to search because I don't have time and they don't care about me anyway.
Right.
Oh, but yeah.
Robert De Niro is a mess.
I love it. The deep voice of thunder.
Yes, I'm a sucker for a deep voice.
Can we talk about how there's something about a deep voice with intelligence behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you'll be having a conversation and then you realize like, oh shit, he's like really smart.
Yep. Like, oh damn. Okay. Learn something today.
Yes, give us some of that traumatic level of parental affection for one another. Listen, I am 32 years old. My parents have been married for 34 years. It's still gross.
It's never not going to be gross, huh?
Right. It's like on one hand, I totally love that they're still like this with each other after 34 years. And then the child part of me is like, can y'all like go away? Like, God forbid, family chats. Like, if my dad goes on a business trip, my dad acts like his whole world is over.
Oh,
because he's not sleeping next to my mom. Like, I called him the other day and he was like, I'm just depressed. I was like, Daddy, what's wrong? He was like, I don't see your mom for like another week. Yo, stop. Stop it. And like it'll be like family FaceTime, and he was like, "Where's my woman? Oh, you look good one in that night out. Okay, I'm getting on FaceTime. Y'all are doing it again. Goodbye." Like this still very much goes. Like that's the kind of relationship that I'm looking for. You want to talk about high value? That's the type of like I want to be able to gross my kids out like well into their adulthood. Like I want to be disrespectfully disgusting in front of my kids to let them know like me and your daddy still get it. Don't worry. That's high value to me.
Oh my God, I love it.
Ooh, I wish people will take Prince Harry off his pedestal. He is not the champion for Black women. He's painted as. He just started acknowledging racism in the past years after it affected his wife.
But I mean, that's a lot of white people. It's
yeah.
Like they finally marry someone of color or a Black person and they're finally like see it up front and personal. And they're like,
they're like, oh my God, racism is real.
This is crazy. And it's like, okay.
Hold on. Neil deGrasse Tyson does it for you? This is fantastic. Since we're here, everybody in the comments, put someone who just really like your celebrity crush. I want to know your celebrity crush. I have 3 and it's fun.
Really?
I have 3. And
one of mine has passed away.
Oh. What?
Paul Walker.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was cute. Yeah. I just want to know now, because Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he does have that super smart intelligence, and then he has a voice, and he did try to destroy Pluto.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't have that many celebrity crushes. I really don't.
This is also facts. I'm trying to think because I haven't, I just only paid attention.
Obsessed with Denzel when I was coming up, but I'm like, who wasn't?
Like, obviously, LeVar Burton. LeVar Burton. Listen, LeVar. Does anybody else feel like LeVar Burton has hit a zaddy status? Does anybody else feel that way? Because, like, I listen to his podcast. Yeah, if y'all didn't know, he has a podcast where he just reads. Highly recommend it. It's like, yeah. But yeah, like he's kind of his zaddy status. I was like, when he got the facial hair, I was like, butterflies in the sky.
Right?
It's like, ooh.
He also just seems really nice. I feel like the older you get, the more you appreciate someone who's just genuinely a nice, good soul.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're just like, wow, you're really kind. Like, you're a good person.
I agree. Oh, yeah. He will always have that moment for me as well. Because I remember him on Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we couldn't see his eyes, I was still very much like, oh, look. Ding, ding, ding. And that was before I even understood like what I was attracted to, because I think about it I think about who attracted me when I was younger, and I realized I really have a type.
Yeah.
And I've had this type for a long time. And even before I realized that it was a type, it was a type. And it was like, wow, Brittany, you're very, wow.
It's very, very specific.
It's very specific. It's like even the men that I have dated have all been like a specific, and it's like, whoa. Well, physically, let me rephrase. Physically, they have all had specific types going on. Mentally, I've realized that my wants and needs have differed as I've grown as a person, where I'm actually looking for more mental things in a mate rather than physical.
Right.
Because it's like, listen, we could go work out together. That ain't nothing. But if you're mentally abusive, I can't do nothing with you.
Yeah, that's it's a deal breaker. I have a question for you. So the whole argument is that there is a lot in this like war between I hate calling it a war, I guess online, I don't know, between Black men and women. Do you feel that Black women hold other Black women accountable? Because the conversation is Black men blame everything on Black women. Black women blame everything on Black men. Black men don't hold themselves accountable. Black women don't hold themselves accountable. So do you feel that we as Black women as a collective hold ourselves accountable? And if we do need to hold ourselves accountable, what are the things that we need to be held accountable for?
Okay, so in real life, I think, yes, I think that we hold ourselves accountable. On social media, it does not get enough views. So it does not seem, it always seems like there's just two separate entities arguing when there are actual groups in the middle that are trying to find a medium. But what I've noticed is, one, anytime there are Black men on social media that stand up for Black women, they are called a simp, which I just learned what that meant.
I found my train of thought.
Hold it. Remember simp.
Okay.
So if Black men defend Black women on social media, they're called simps. If Black women defend Black men on social media, they're not called simps, but they're called stupid. They're called all types of names. Black women get less hate for defending Black men than Black men get for defending Black women on social media. Yeah. Like you can just go to the comment section and it's like, oh my God, you're a simp. Oh, you're going to let the woman walk all over you. And it's like, all he said was women should be respected. Why is he a simp for that?
I'm so glad you brought this up, because one of my biggest issues with the red pill community is the fact that they, just to bring up an example, view Russell Wilson as a simp. Russell Wilson, who married Ciara, because they're like, oh, he's nice. Oh, he's always praising her. He's always talking about how much he loves her. He's all like, they did an interview where they had to ask each other questions to see how well they knew each other.
That was so cute, though.
And he said his biggest fear was losing her, and he was being dragged by Black men for saying that. They also think he's a simp for marrying a single mother and raising Future's kid. I mean, just all sorts of things that really had my mind spinning. Because for me, I was like, I just thought that made him a good guy who really loved his wife.
I didn't understand. I understood it as one thing. There is a part of the community that praises this behavior, this Future behavior. Like Future's entire brand is from being an F-boy.
Yes.
That's his whole brand. And there are people who live by that mantra because it means less accountability. So to see, speaking of Future, let's also give a slow clap for Lori Harvey.
Slow clap.
Lori Harvey also, I'm going to touch Lori Harvey in a second. Let me get comfortable. So one, the fact that they couldn't see the fact that the child was thriving, that Sierra was happy, that Russ was happy. It was, I can't believe you picked up a single mother. And it's like, but this single mother deserves the same amount of love and affection as everyone else. But when, if you notice, when Future moved on, what did they do? They praised him. Mm-hmm. All this stuff. When Lori Harvey dropped him and went to Michael B. Jordan, what happened? Michael B. Jordan became a simp.
Yes.
All of a sudden, got dragged for it. It's like, help me understand this. Because Lori Harvey has embodied what this generation claims is what to do. She lived her best life, got her bag, and dipped to happiness.
Yes. And she hops from man to man until she can find one that is going to give her the things that she feels she deserves.
For nothing, went from millionaire to millionaire to millionaire to millionaire. And all of a sudden now she's a hoe. She did this, that, and the third, da-da-da-da-da. Mind you, that same energy is not reciprocated to the Kardashians at all. And they've literally gone through whole basketball teams. But when Lori Harvey did it, and Lori Harvey did it without producing any children, didn't do nothing but produce bags, gifts,
or any scandals.
No scandal. We actually cannot verify whether or not she actually dated anyone but Michael B. Jordan because she did not claim these hoes. She did everything that these men praise Future for doing. And she was called all types of stuff out of her name. And it's just like, so basically what you're saying is for these particular group of men, only they can do.
Yes.
And they're mad because not only did she do it, but she did it the best.
Yes.
I was like, I couldn't do nothing else. Like when she posted Michael B. Jordan on her page and had a pet nickname for him and was calling him bae, I was like, this is actually the first time she's called any man. They've never been on her page, mind you.
Never.
I was like, she did what y'all thought y'all was doing.
Mm-hmm. And she did it better than y'all. She did it better. And so the whole simp thing literally has me thrown because it seems that any man who actually loves his family, loves his wife, supports her, loves his children, is a simp. And I'm just like, huh?
I had to look up the definition of a simp because one of my exes said that he was mad that he was simping for me because he bought me gifts, even though he knows that I make more money than him. And I was like, did I ask you for those gifts? He was like, no. Did I thank you for those gifts? He's like, yes. It's like, did I use those gifts all the time? He's like, yeah, you're very grateful. So what about pampering your girlfriend is a simp?
Yeah.
It was because I made more money than him. And this is why he's an ex. Like he straight said it. There was no reason for me to be accepting gifts when I made so much more money than him. And I said, and I quote, I did not tell you to buy the gifts for me. I'm not going to apologize for my salary. And if you feel so inclined to feel so bad about my salary, get there and then we can talk. That's another example of not settling for crap. Anyways, she's living her best life. She's living her best life, my best life, etc. She's doing it at the highest level and stays on other people's mind. I mean, Future made a whole song about her.
A whole song. Like he's still pressed to this day. To this day.
I also want to state this. The way that she moved in silence, the way that a lot of us need to adapt.
I agree.
There's just no reason that social media should know your entire life. And technically speaking, we do not know if she ever actually dated any of these men. She was just photographed with them. Let that be very clear. She moved in a silence that is, again, Lori, I just like, it was one of those things where like me and my homegirls were like, I'm so proud of her. Like she ain't even mine, but I'm so proud of her the way she handled it. Oh my God, she did. After that fiance,
she did.
After she had that fiance and that relationship went, she like her whole mood shifted.
Something must have gone down because it's like she became a savage after that.
Again, that's the lifestyle that I want, because I feel like if I'm gonna date, like I am going to date. I'm going to date. I don't know when I will decide on monogamy. But I know that for me to even have the conversation, you're going to have to do something. Yes. And not do something by like salary terms. Do something as in like how you make me feel.
Yes.
Because again, I can take care of myself financially. Would I like somebody else's money? Duh. But it's not my number one factor.
It's like the whole thing of like dating to find the best partner for you is so vilified when it's Black women doing it. Have you noticed that?
Or like when Black men find when Black men find theirs, and you know when they found their woman, because they literally turn into big balls of mush. Like every guy that I've seen that has found his mate, when it comes to her, mush ball, just complete mush ball. And I agree. It's so great to see because it's clear the way he feels about her. But like I have seen dudes be called simps for it.
That's the part that blows my mind. Like, that's the part with the whole red pill community that I cannot get down with, is this whole simp thing and like simping, or like, oh, you were buying her things, she was your girlfriend and you were treating her and you were taking her here, you were simping. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, like before I got off social media, or before I got off online dating for the last time, I don't know if I'm going back. It was a guy where I was like, do you want to meet up for lunch or something? And he was like, I don't really feel like I need to pay for a lunch to get to know you. And I was like, well, one, I never even suggested that she paid. So that was really weird. I was like, it was like, he was like, nah, he was like, you just want to use me for a meal and you're probably not going to talk to me anymore. And I was thinking in my head, like, well, I'm actually not going to continue this conversation after I say what I need to say. Like, I just want to meet you in person. You know, like, I don't know. It's like the idea of dating, like the idea of going out with somebody and like enjoying their company, simp. The idea of being in a healthy, happy relationship, simp. The idea of you wanting to spend time with your significant other instead of your homeboys, simp. I was like, what kind of relationships are y'all looking for then? Because who gonna be in a relationship with you if you don't ever want to spend time with them? You don't ever want to show them that you appreciate them. You don't ever want to do anything that shows that you're actually in a relationship, because it's a simp thing. So what do y'all do in relationships?
They don't have them. Clearly. Clearly, they don't have them.
Ooh, a word.
Yes.
If a dude feels like he can't compete with other options, perhaps any faith, trust, or open affection, it is seen as simping. A word. But I've noticed that too, because it'll be like, oh, you gonna hang out with your girl again? Y'all simping. It's like,
or like, I can't believe
that you're single and gonna be single for a long time without telling me you're single and you're gonna be single for a long time.
It's like, why are you putting her first? Why are you why would you rather be with her than your boys? It's like, is this a trick question? Like, what?
Aaron, I love you. I just thought you should know that. Aaron says, this is amazing that they're paying until I decide if I like them. Men seem to enjoy being told what to do.
They do. That is
so true.
They love it.
Am I okay? So here's a question, because obviously we're here. Is it wrong? Like, when I tried online dating, there were a couple of guys that progressed to exchanging phone numbers, right? Okay. A huge turnoff for me is like when we exchange phone numbers and it's like, hey, what's up? How you doing? What you doing? It's like, hey, do you want that? Like, if I have to do all the initiating, if I have to do all of the like, I want to see you, and I feel like it's not being reciprocated, or like the same energy is not being put in, or where it's like, oh, hey, like I really want to see you. All right, what do you want to do? Oh man, I don't really know.
Rolls eyes.
I'm like, am I the only person who feels like it's like I don't want to tell them what to do? I actually do not. I do everything on my own. I run the business. I run businesses. I'm always the person in control. I would like to be like, hey, I want to take you out. Hey, let's go here. Hey, like I want that. Is that old fashioned thinking? Like, do I need to let that go?
No, you don't.
Like, I want like a whole chat of men to one day to have like a whole panel question. Like, so tell me why. Does that mean he's not interested in me? Is that what that meant? Like, I have so many questions.
I'm the same way. Like, if a man doesn't like take charge and like plans things, he doesn't have to be all the time, but it's like, if you're not the kind of man who's like, okay, this is where we're going. I have this idea. Like, I want to take you here. I want to do this. I want to do this. Like, my interest just slowly just is like,
I feel this way, the same way Sky 5 Angel do. Like, it's something about like a man with a plan.
Yes, a man.
It's like, it doesn't, I'm not saying like, oh, you just met me, let's plan our wedding. I'm just saying like, if I'm talking to you and I'm like, yeah, like we should totally hang out. Like, and I'm also a person, I've been stood up so many times. Like, it is a triggering thing for me. And so I'm always very upfront where I'm like, okay, I'm going to let you pick the location and you pick the time to where you say you're going to be there. Because for me, it's like it's just an extra check that I mentally have to do to make sure that you're going to show up. Because if I do all this planning and you don't show up, it's a triggering thing for me. So it's like this comment, I've dealt with people who don't reciprocate taking initiative, and I've addressed it. If they still play the wall on me, I have to leave them because that's important communication for me. And then if someone doesn't show any interest in me when I'm showing interest in them, I'm not going to keep a hostage situation going. Perhaps they want me to get the hint, and I do. I'm also very upfront.
Me too.
So I'm always like, I am very interested in getting to know you further. Like, would you like to continue this conversation in person? Like, I'm very upfront with it. And then I've actually thought that maybe that was the problem. I'm like, let me pull myself back. But now that I know that, like, we're not the only people in this community that feels like this new generation of simping is crap.
Yes.
Again, Aaron and I are on the same wavelength. One day we'll have another podcast. One day we'll update you guys on some dating stories, because
we will.
I have stories for what drove me to just delete every single one of my online dating accounts.
These stories they're not good.
One of them.
They're not good.
They're not good stories. Isn't simping what you're supposed to do in a relationship?
Basically.
Miss Awesome Saucy, this is what we think. I don't know when the word simping became a thing. I'm 100% convinced it was by some guy who barely washes behind his ears that created that phrase. But I thought that happy, healthy relationships is just two people enjoying each other and being happy. And if that's simping, then give me all of the simp.
Give all of it.
All of it. Dipped in chocolate would be nice.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, this has been a fun chat. I'm so you guys to hang out with us today.
I know. Thanks for coming to hang out. I think we pretty much covered a wide gamut of like little I almost said plot points, little like mini topics within the bigger topic. I think overall it can be said that a lot of this so-called gender war is mainly situated in the online community, because in a lot of our real lives, we don't necessarily see these dynamics play out in real time. At least I don't really. Right. I will say that it is so much more nuanced than what's being presented online. And what's being presented online is kind of a simplified, watered down version of what is actually happening. There's not a lot of subtext. There's not a lot of historical context. It's all just very, Black women are doing all of this wrong. And that is why Black men don't like you anymore. And that is why
Black men are always crap. And this is why we don't. Yeah. I would love it if
simplified. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, and this is a very friendly reminder, and this is based off this last comment. It says, there are dudes who will be told and proven that a woman isn't built for a relationship, but they force it and do too much and then cry about how bad she was. That's simping. Oh,
that makes sense, actually.
That actually makes, that's totally different. That I think by that definition of thing, that is simping. If you are out here giving your all to a person who's not going to be in a relationship with you, that's your fault. You know, you saw the signs and you know you ignored them. This goes for men, women, and everyone else. When dudes try too much to force a woman to see them as a worthy, nice guy, that's simping. Okay. See, I don't know if you are a male or not, but thank you for this clarification, because the only time I've seen simp used is when people are making fun of people in healthy relationships.
That is the only time I see it too. But to that last comment, I feel like there's a difference between like courtship and like really seeing potential in someone and trying to like prove to them that you really care for them and that you could really have a good, stable relationship. I mean, courtship is more of a traditional values type thing versus, you know, you trying to force something that isn't really there.
Okay. We hardly ever have men in the chat, so it's really great.
This is great. Love it.
It's really great. It's like, thank you for coming.
Yes, we really appreciate you.
So let's give you guys some more announcements for those who weren't here in the beginning. We will be announcing the Naked Readathon at the end of this week. For those who are new to our channel, Naked is our ode to Black romance. It is a readathon that we mainly do on Instagram. We like to highlight Black romance authors. And for those who are also aware, Black romance is defined as a romance between two or more Black identifying people. Interracial relationships and romances are also fantastic, but they do not fall under the definition of Black romance. They are in their own category and should be celebrated in their own category. However, we will be announcing the theme of this year. We will be announcing the prompts for this year, the dates for this year, our group read for this year. We will be announcing all of that at the end of this week. So stay tuned as always. Follow us on our social medias. We do talk a lot more on Instagram than we do on any other site. We also, hold on, I got to check the calendar because, you know, don't we also have a podcast tomorrow?
I think so.
Hold on.
The last podcast of the month.
Yeah, so we have another podcast conversation that's tomorrow. And
at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And our conversation tomorrow is random, so we don't have a topic yet, but we'll have a topic to talk about. If you have something you want to talk about, always leave it in the comments. It's something that we can add to the list. Like somebody already requested that if we do another another bad movie, problematic movie thing that we need to discuss Love and Basketball, we could definitely do that. I love dragging Love and Basketball, so I would happily
drag it for filth.
Also, hold on. For those who don't remember, the group read that we're doing for the book club, we're going to be discussing next month is Hollywood Homicide by Kelly Garrett. This is the book pick that I picked. It's the first mystery that Black Prose is reading together. So if you are interested in joining us, you still have a whole month. Next month's live, we'll be talking about this book. So the next time you see our faces, we'll be talking about this book. So again, it's called Hollywood Homicide. I'm sorry for the glare. My window is doing the most. Hollywood Homicide by Kelly Garrett.
Also, just randomly, one of the topics we were potentially thinking about doing for tomorrow's podcast is the double standards of dating interracially as a Black woman. So if that is something that sounds interesting to you, maybe we'll do that. We may do something a little bit lighter since we just had this that was a little bit more serious. So that is one of the topics we were contemplating.
Yeah.
So you know,
we're still trying to figure out the best way to facilitate. Like we have conversations like this that we want to have, But it's always like hard to try to figure out the best way to facilitate the conversation because we are two cis female Black women. So we want the conversation to be for everyone, but we also understand that we do lack a certain area that we're trying to figure out the best way to get it. Oh,
dear. Oh my God.
Do you have any
highlight these last two comments?
Oh. Thank you for hosting this discussion. If in doubt, before you say something stupid against Black women, Black men, you can always just be quiet and enjoy the benefit of the doubt.
And then
also, don't take engagement announcement photos on a plantation with your white fiance rescuing you from slavery. Okay, so
I honestly didn't even want to bring this up.
I didn't want to bring it up.
Still shook.
Since y'all are still here, let me just take 10 minutes.
Look, you about to get on that soapbox, so I'm just going to lean back.
Okay, so while I was minding my business on Beyonce's internet, I came across those pictures. So
why? Why? Who was the photographer? Who was the costumer? Why?
Where is his mother?
Where is his mom? Sisters, auntie, grandma?
Where are the Black people in his life? Where are they? Because
where is her father?
Let my brother even suggest. When I tell you I would fly to where he was and smack all the color off of his face. I was just like, I think my soul like left my body when I saw those pictures because I was like in 2021,
ooh,
you're right though. I wanted it to be a parody so bad.
So badly.
So bad. It was one of those things where like I wanted them to just be trying to make a statement or like trying to go viral. I wanted them to do that. But no, that was their pre-wedding photos.
I just want them to come forward and explain this. I want their family members to come forward and explain this. I need to know.
You already know what's going to happen. First off, the wife is going to be on there with no makeup on, crying, talking about how she just thought it was so beautiful and that like it was a beautiful message about interracial love. And then the only thing the husband is going to do is defend his wife and be mad at the people in the comments who don't understand them and who can't believe that they would think that his wife is racist. Like we already know the narrative that's going to preach because any Black man that is dumb enough to get and be photographed in chains in a field.
Sorry, I can't.
I was like,
nuts.
For those, okay,
I've never been so shaken.
There are engagement photos going around of this interracial couple where she is dressed like a Quaker from Quaker Oaks, and he is dressed like a modern day slave with some chains on in a freaking field. And the progression of the photos is like she's freeing him and giving him a better life.
And he was like kneeling down
on the forehead and he's like thanking her for like breaking his chains.
And I've never been so shaken by a viral story. I was like, wow, this is where we are. No, this is where they are. I'm not claiming him. This is where they are. Look.
This is
I just don't understand how this even made it to being like oh shit.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna cut.
You know, the historical accuracy is just
okay.
sad.
So can we like them chains? I was like, I ain't never seen chains like that before, and I cosplay.
Where did she get those chains?
Where did chains come from?
Maybe from grandma.
But listen, I was like, watch it be like they took the pictures on her grandfather's estate or something.
I'm the kind of person where stuff like this happens, I really do question like everyone that was involved.
Everyone.
If I was the photographer, I'd be like, guys, this isn't a good idea.
It's 2021. It's like, I get it, make your paper, but at the same time, maybe your paper ain't worth it.
I would have been like, I don't feel comfortable taking these pictures. I really don't think they're a good idea.
It's like, did they discuss this with the photographer before he showed up? Like,
so many questions.
Like, who was the person that came up with the idea? Then who was the person that executed the costumes?
That's another question I have.
It's so many questions. And then it's just like, so like no one involved said, I don't think in 2021 we should be doing slave photos.
My God.
And I'm not gonna lie, I too was on Instagram waiting for somebody to the name, because in every one of the things the name was blocked out. And I was like, if you are bold enough to post something like this, you ought to be bold enough to leave your freaking name on the thing so I can find you and ask you, what were you thinking?
I feel like if anyone exposes who they actually are, it will be like people on their friends list on Facebook that will expose them.
I'm waiting. I'm genuinely waiting. Her uncle, brother, nephew, cousin was talking to the photographer. All right, we're not doing this.
I'm dead.
Oh my gosh. Kanye said slavery was a choice. They took it for a fact. Y'all are going in. I love y'all. But honestly, we haven't dragged anybody in a long time.
It's been a while.
Because we haven't been on social media, haven't really been keeping up with book drama or nothing. So one of these days we are going to have to do a book drama catch up. But for now, we will be ending this chat with the question of, what book are you currently reading?
Yes.
Leave it in the comments.
Also, what is the best book you've read this year so far?
That is also a good question. Do not forget to like this video, subscribe if you have not, and we will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good day.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
Bye.